Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have many things and stuff to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things Plays, and Working, the third and latest channel in the Stuff and Things YouTube family of channels. We're going to get into how the new channel Working is doing and what's next for that channel. Then we're going to ask the question, is Captain Earle's 10 Russians a really strong blend? A lot of people warned me that when I tried this blend out for the very first time, it would be very strong. It would put me on my ass. And carrying on with that, we will ask the question of you, what is the strongest blend you have ever had? And then, of course, we have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. Okay, gang, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things Plays, and Working? I've made a lot of work for myself, speaking of working, so there are a lot of things coming up. The first video that you can look forward to this week on Stuff and Things has to do with a company that is very famous in the knife world. They are called Bark River Knives. They are located in Michigan, and they make these really cool semi-custom knives. I have several of their knives right here. I think they're amazing, but there is a lot of internet discourse about how their quality control has gotten much worse lately. If you read forums, it would seem that 50% to 75% of the knives that they ship are not good quality. So I'm going to do a video based on the 3 knives of theirs that I own, taking a look at them, looking at them really up close, and just seeing how the fit and finish is and the quality control is on these 3 knives. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be exhaustive, but I think it's going to be interesting. And that video will be coming out this Wednesday. The Wednesday after that, we will have the Captain Earle's 10 Russians First Impressions video. Last week we did Captain Black Cherry, the final review. We're doing a non-pipe video with the Bark River Knives, and then we're doing Captain Earle's 10 Russians. I think that's Hermitage Tea Works. Captain Earle's 10 Russians, and that will be posting the Wednesday after. We're also going to get into, in another video, whether or not my Peterson pipe that I used for the Captain Black review process has been ghosted. There'll be a video about that as well. Now for Stuff and Things Plays, the Zelda series is continuing every Monday and Friday. Then we also have the shorter Minecraft series every Wednesday and Saturday. That will be continuing for another few weeks, or a couple weeks, and then once we finish the shorter Minecraft series, then the Zelda videos will be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think that's the schedule that I have settled on now. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, already one of the best games I've ever played ever. You should check out that series on Stuff and Things Plays. And then on Working, I just finished editing a video, and I think it's the best episode yet on Working. It's going to be Working Episode 3, and I haven't gotten a title yet, but it's basically going to show you how sometimes my job can be kind of stressful. Sometimes things don't go as well as you might hope, and you're dealing with materials that have a mind of their own to a certain extent, or temperature, sunlight. They react on these materials, and you have to adapt to that. So it's kind of stressful. It's interesting. We're pouring some concrete on an island near here, and I think it's a really good episode. I just finished editing it, and I kind of watched it back, skimming through it, and I think it might be the best episode yet on Working. So check that out as well. I think that's everything. I have 3 channels now, so it's hard to keep everything straight. So, speaking of Working, the new channel that I launched a couple weeks ago, thank you all so much, those of you who have gone over to Working to check it out and to subscribe and to thumb up those videos. It is super important when a channel first launches, especially now because YouTube has made some of the requirements for becoming a YouTube partner more stringent. It's super important to get eyes on the videos, to get interaction with viewers, to get comments, likes, subscriptions, all that stuff, so that video can be slotted into that algorithm. I think as of now, if you just type in working in the search bar in YouTube, my channel isn't coming up yet, but it will start coming up if we get a lot of views and a lot of subscriptions. So if just half of you go over there and subscribe on working, that will help me out immensely. I will have a link in the description box below to working, so please check that out. Subscribe if you're interested. I've had a lot of feedback from people who have said that, you know, they weren't really interested in construction, but just watching the videos, they found themselves fascinated, and they didn't intend to watch the whole video, but then they ended up watching. I mean, the first episode was an hour and a half long, and they watched that entire thing. I think the second episode was just a little over 30 minutes. This one's gonna clock in maybe around an hour, but there's a lot of variety, a lot of interesting things going on, and a lot of people really seem to be liking it. So I'm reading all this feedback and taking that in and sort of tweaking things here and there. So I would really appreciate it if you guys would go check working out, and we can get it up to 1,000 subscribers, because that's the first requirement to reach partner on YouTube. Then we need 4,000 watch hours, which is gonna take longer, but the more subscriptions, the more eyes we get on the video, the more that will tick up. I think, like I said, that this third episode is really, really good, and if it just keeps getting better like this, I have high hopes for this channel. We've reached about 600 subscribers now, so I'm really excited. I'm really appreciative to those of you who have gone to working already, as I said before, and I really, really encourage those of you who haven't to check it out. I think you might find it pretty interesting. But now, Captain Earle's 10 Russians. Quite a few people, when they recommended me this blend, or recommended this blend to me, mentioned that it was very strong, that I would find it hard to deal with, perhaps. And I've done the first impressions video. I recorded that actually last week, and I've continued enjoying this blend throughout this current week in preparation for the review that I'm going to be recording probably next week. And I have to say, didn't really notice any strength. Or not any strength, but it did not make me feel as though it was even up to maybe, I don't know, nightcap in terms of strength. Now, one of the things that can get kind of confusing is we talk about strong blends, and are we talking about nicotine, or are we talking about flavor? Is it really full flavor, or is it really going to smack you in the face with the N that might be in the blend? To me, I make a distinction between, you know, the feel of the blend and the flavor of the blend, and then the nicotine of the blend. So when people would say that Nightcap is super, super strong, I didn't really get that. It was full flavor, but it didn't feel strong. I guess maybe I combine the N, I don't know if I can even say that on YouTube, the N and the body and the mouthfeel kind of into one category. But this is tough. It's kind of weird to make these distinctions, because there can be a blend that does seem very strong, quote, that isn't necessarily super high in nicotine. And then there can be a blend that is really full flavor, but doesn't seem particularly strong. And maybe this is something I'm gonna have to reassess eventually. It's been 9 years that I've been doing this, but I know some people are confused by that. To me, Captain Earle did not seem super strong. It was pretty full flavor, but it didn't knock me down. It didn't smack me in the face. Blends that I have had that I would consider very strong, and mostly in terms of the body and the mouthfeel and the nicotine, I think number one for me would be, I think brown number 4, that rope. That got me to the point, depending on when I had it, if it was first thing in the morning and I hadn't eaten anything, I could start feeling that like feeling in the back of the throat, a little lightheadedness, maybe an upset stomach, not a super pleasant feeling. And that's what happens when perhaps you're not used to having a lot of N in a blend, and having it on an empty stomach, you can get overwhelmed by the strength of it. I guess to me, that is the main criteria for strength. Do I feel it? Tasting it is one thing. Nightcap is a very strongly flavored blend, and I don't mean added flavoring, but you get a lot of flavor out of Nightcap. The flavor is strong, but the feeling isn't super strong to me. The feeling of this, Captain Earle's 10 Russians, is not super strong, but the flavor is pretty strong. With Brown number 4, both the feeling and the flavor were quite strong. So maybe that makes sense now. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of figuring this out in my head as I'm speaking, but I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What are the strongest blends? You can make a distinction between really strong as far as the flavor and then really strong as far as the feel, and that might have to do with N being in there too, like a really high N blend. Some people say that for them, Elizabethan is a very strong blend, and I think they mean as far as N goes, because they get a little bit overwhelmed by it. For me, I'm used to it, so I don't really notice it that much, and I think I have a pretty high tolerance for that to begin with. So yeah, I'm really curious to hear what you guys say. I think my nomination for, as far as a pipe blend, the strongest one as far as feel and flavor might be Brown number 4. Let me know in the comments below. All right, gang, but now it is time for your feedback in hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. You can also write to me via Patreon if you are a Patreon supporter and go to the front of the line. You can also hit that super thanks button right under this video. Make a little donation, go right to the front of the line, or you can leave comments, questions, and feedback under my YouTube videos. So first, via YouTube, we have a comment or a question here from Roger Stray Dog. Roger says, "Hi Bradley, a pipe-related question that has nothing to do with your latest video. What is Nick hit? When I read reviews on tea sites, they often rate the strength. Is that Nick hit?" So this is kind of going into what we were just discussing. "How do you tell if you are getting one? Is it a feel or a taste or something else? Is it subjective? Do you get an immunity and need more to get it? And are there particular teas that give you more? Is it pleasant or desired? Thanks." So Roger, thank you for the question. We kind of dealt with this, and I think, I don't know, what criteria everybody's using online. I think with teareviews.com, do they have a separate category for Nick? I don't think they do. I think they have flavor and I think they have strength. I'm assuming with them, the strength does have something to do with Nick. But yeah, everybody's criteria are going to be different. I just blathered for 10 minutes about my criteria and how it's kind of vague sometimes. I think right now I have decided that strength is a combination of the body and the mouthfeel and the Nick hit, the feeling you get from the blend, and then flavor is the actual thing you're tasting. So that's my criteria. As far as whether or not you can become inured to it, yes, you can. Obviously, well, not obviously if you're new to the hobby or anything, but the more you have, the less it affects you. If you go several days without having a pipe, you might find that you get a little lightheaded from a blend. Most pipe blends aren't super, super strong as far as that goes anyway, though. But yeah, you can definitely develop a resistance to it, and then it might take a stronger blend for you to feel anything. Most people aren't having a pipe to feel that, at least I don't think so. And to me, if it's super strong and something that's strong enough to affect me, it isn't necessarily a very pleasant feeling. So hopefully that answers your question. Next, we have some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, and we start off with a super thanks from Jake Nelson. Thank you so much, Jake. Jake says, "I tried to leave this message last week and had issues. Loved the working video. As a fellow blue-collar worker, it is cool to see. When you said it was a family business, I expected you to be like a foreman. To see you doing the grunt work was really cool. You are legit." Thank you so much, Jake, for checking out Working. And yes, it is a family business, but it is a very small family business, so I have to do a lot of the grunt work. Next, from Les Brady, "I think Mondays are a perfect day to post Working, since we all go back on Mondays and so does Bradley. I'll get to look forward to it after work." Thanks, and yeah, I was trying to figure out exactly what day would be the best day to post those videos. I think we're gonna go with Monday for now, unless there is any compelling reason to change. But for now, I think Mondays, 6 a.m. Pacific time for the working videos. Another one from Les Brady. I knew you'd like Captain Earle when I voted for it over Captain Black, but I wouldn't say it'll blow your head off. To me, it's just a really good, full English. And yes, Les, I've discovered that myself. Very tasty, but I didn't find it super strong. Next, we have some feedback from the Captain Black Cherry review. Now, there were a ton of comments from people saying, thanks for taking one for the team. I'm really sorry you had to go through this, like all sorts of things like that. And it was not this horribly life-alteringly awful thing that I had to do. So don't worry, it was fine. I'm fine. It's all fine. But we had some comments. Here's one from Rasul Safari. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. An amazing review. We are on the same page too, but you hurt my feelings. Why did you do that? Peterson pipes are good. Why SCB in one? It ruins the pipe. When I sometimes smoke CB, I hate the cherry, by the way, I think it's the worst one, I S in the cheapest corn cob. Rasul, you're not the only one who was worried about my Peterson that I used in the video, and that I used to, I won't say enjoy the blend the entire time I was trying it out. So a lot of people were worried about that. Pipe is shaking all over. Next, from Skippy B. Coyote. After subjecting yourself to Captain Black Cherry for 2 weeks, you really deserve a tin of Colt Blood Red Moon. Did I say Colt? Colt Blood Red Moon, which is pretty much the king of cherry aromatics. It's got a very pleasant and non-cough syrupy cherry pie flavor with notes of dark chocolate, a little bit of nutty burley peeking through, and bright Virginias bringing up the rear. It is still a heavily topped aromatic with the cherry flavoring front and center, so someone who prefers non-aromatics might not care for it, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a finer cherry aromatic. And Skippy is not the only one who has been suggesting Colt Blood Red Moon to me, and I think it's a pretty safe bet that I will be trying that blend out soonish. I want to check it out. I want to compare and contrast it while Captain Black Cherry is still fairly fresh in my mind. Next, from Smashing Artful. You've been essing something that has the flavor of cherry cough syrup just so you could share your take. That's dedication. M. Curcio says, so, did it ghost the Pete? And then Paragon Piper says, so after all this, do you think your Peterson will need the alcohol salt treatment? Well, I have the Peterson right here. I have not taken a whiff in the bowl of this pipe since I finished the Captain Black Cherry review. I'm gonna do it now. Yeah, it smells very strongly of Captain Black Cherry. So what I think we're gonna do, we are gonna do a video on this. I think I'm gonna put in Elizabethan. I'll put a bowl of Elizabethan in, and I will try to S that entire bowl, and I will report to you whether or not I'm still tasting the cherry. After that bowl is done and I've cleaned the pipe like I normally do, I will take a whiff again, and I'll see how strongly it still smells of Captain Black Cherry. If I tasted it with the Elizabethan and it ruined my experience with the Elizabethan, or at least nagged at me while I was S-ing it, and I can still smell it after the Elizabethan, then we will go through a process of trying to use alcohol or a salt treatment or a cotton treatment or what have you to clean out the pipe fully. I think that'll be a fun video. All right, gang, thank you so much for all the feedback. Please keep it coming in, but now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and now you will be supporting 3 channels with your support on Patreon. It helps pay for so many things. It really helps make the show go. There's a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into these videos, and a lot of equipment too, so it's really, really, really helpful. And every week we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Glenn Dunnington, Jason Buckner, MDoftheNorth, David Gaudreau, Finn O'Hagan, Ryan McFadin, and Arcturus. Good name. And of course the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Bob Magee, And we will never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. It's also really been fun to recognize a lot of the names in the on my Patreon who comment so regularly on the YouTube videos and everything. I really feel like I'm getting to know a lot of those people. It's just really cool. So thank you all so much for that support. Thank you all so much for liking, watching, subscribing, all that good stuff. Please check out Working. We're at 600 subs now, and we need to get to 1,000. So follow that link in the description box below. Stay tuned on Stuff and Things for the video about Bark River knife quality. We will be having the Captain Earle's 10 Russians First Impressions video coming up soon. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Minecraft on Stuff and Things Plays, and on Working. Episode 3 will be posting tomorrow, and it's a doozy. It's one where the stress level gets a little bit high. So, lots of good stuff coming up on all 3 channels. And until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.